The mysterious journey of the Apostle Philip, why the Holy Spirit sent him into the desert. Few knew what truly happened that night. The moon cast eerie shadows over the dusty roads of the desert. A hush fell over the land, interrupted only by the distant howls of unseen creatures. Philip stood at the crossroads, his heart pounding. He had been summoned by the Holy Spirit with a message that rippled through the air like a crackling fire. A force pulled him toward the open expanse, where stars twinkled like the eyes of watchful spirits above. As he stepped into the barren landscape, the reality of his mission weighed heavily on him. The wind whispered secrets in his ear, words he could barely comprehend. Go, it seemed to say. A divine urgency gripped him, gnawing at his very soul. Why was he being led here? What awaited him in this desolation? The sands of the wilderness shifted underfoot, each grain a reminder of the countless lost souls wandering just like him. The desert was not just a physical place, it held a spiritual significance that echoed through the ages. It was here that prophets had stood, and sometimes miracles were birthed from the barren dust. But Philip was unsure. Had the Spirit chosen him as a vessel, or was this a cruel trick? Suddenly, a flash of light pierced the darkness ahead. Was it a vision, or was something truly following him? His breath quickened. Every step felt heavier. The sensation of dread curled in his stomach, tight and suffocating. Could he trust what he felt? The lore spoke of spirits appearing in the wild, compelling men to rise against their fears, but Philip did not feel like a hero this night, just a pawn in a divine game. The flicker of that light grew brighter. It danced, almost tauntingly, pulling him forward. With each step, the questions multiplied. What was the purpose? Was there danger lurking in the shadows? Would he emerge from this journey changed forever, or would he simply vanish into the dust, forgotten like so many before him? The very air crackled with expectation and fear, weaving a tapestry of both danger and destiny. What awaited him at the heart of this pivotal moment? As he neared the source of that mystical glow, his heart raced with a mix of terror and longing. Could he fulfill the call placed upon him? Or would the very desert, with its shifting sand and pressing silence, swallow him whole? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash the like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The silence of the desert was abruptly pierced by the sound of rushing water, a clear and refreshing melody that was strangely out of place among the arid sands. Philip's instincts drew him closer to the source. Could it be a mirage, a trick of the mind in the vast solitude? Or was it a genuine invitation from the heart of creation itself, offering solace in the barren wasteland? As he approached, the ground began to slope gently downward, leading him to a hidden oasis that lay veiled from the eyes of the unworthy. Lush greenery flourished around a clear pool, mirroring the shimmering stars above. The sight was like a balm to his troubled spirit, and he felt an urge to kneel by the water's edge, to drink deeply from the promise of life that thrived here. Yet, the glowing light that had beckoned him continued to draw his gaze, revealing itself to be a figure standing by the water. The figure was neither fully man nor angel, cloaked in shimmering garments that seemed to ripple like the surface of the pool itself. Philip felt a mixture of awe and trepidation as he stepped closer. Why have you come? The figure's voice resonated like a bell in the stillness, full of both authority and gentleness. You have felt the pull, the call of the Spirit, but do you understand your purpose here? Philip stammered in response, unsure whether to confess his fears or his hopes. I am Philip, a servant. I was summoned, but I do not know why. I only feel the weight of uncertainty. The figure nodded solemnly, as if already aware of the turmoil within him. The desert is not merely a place of desolation, but the cradle of transformation. Here, many have encountered their true selves and the plans that the heavens hold for them. It is a sacred ground for those willing to listen. Philip furrowed his brow, questioning more than he had words for. But how can I know what to listen for? The Spirit leads me here, yet I feel like a shadow in this great expanse. How is it I can achieve what is meant for me? The figure waved a hand over the water, and images began to flicker on the surface, images of men and women who wandered through desolate lands, encounters that led to miraculous healings, lives transformed from despair to hope. Each journey is unique. You will hear the whispers, feel the nudges of fate, but you must let go of your fears. Only when you embrace the uncertainty can truth reveal itself. Philip's heart thudded with fear and curiosity. Will I be strong enough? What if I cannot bear what is revealed to me? Strength arises from vulnerability, dear Philip. The Spirit empowers those who dare to walk into the unknown. It is not mere decision but a surrender to faith, to guidance, to the unfolding mystery of divine plans. With those words, a flicker of understanding ignited within him. Maybe this journey was indeed about more than confronting shadows, perhaps it was an invitation to embrace the light hidden within. Yet, as he gazed at his reflection rippling in the water, a lingering doubt made him falter. Could he truly step into such a calling? And what would he need to sacrifice in order to let forth the power he sensed stirring in the depths of his soul? As the figure began to fade into the shimmering air, their final words hung in the atmosphere like a sweet, haunting echo. Remember, not every question has an answer, and not every answer brings peace. Trust in the process, and you shall find your path as it unfolds. Staring into the abyss of possibility before him, Philip was left grasping the enigma of his calling. What would it mean to walk this path as a vessel for the Spirit? Would his heart remain unbroken, or would it be kneaded into a deeper understanding of love and sacrifice? Questions swirled around him, mingling with the desert breeze. Could he dare to trust the unfolding of his own story? As the last echo of the figure's voice faded into the surrounding silence, the oasis around Philip pulsated with an air of sacred expectancy. The water's surface still flickered with the remnants of the visions that had danced before him, each image a story, a potential entwined with fate. With uncertainty gnawing at his heart and yet an unquenchable thirst for truth kindling hope within him, Philip knelt by the water's edge, feeling the cool breeze brush against his skin. His thoughts turned inward as he gazed into the depths of the pool. The ripples morphed his reflection into an ever-shifting visage, a reminder that his identity was not as static as he presumed. In that ethereal moment, Philip sensed that his journey was not solely about seeking answers, but about embracing the profound mystery of who he was meant to become. Perhaps, he whispered to himself, the answers lie not in the pursuit of certainty, but in the embrace of my own imperfections. He pondered the lives of those depicted in the visions, how they had wrestled both with faith and doubt, often in the shadows of their own struggles. Had they not, like him, forged a path through the chaos, guided only by the flickering candlelight of hope? A faint stirring of sound reached his ears, the gentle rush of water weaving through the foliage that surrounded the pool. It mirrored the quiet reverberations of his heart, pulsing with both trepidation and excitement at the possibility that lay ahead. Rising to his feet, he turned, as if anchored by the unseen threads of destiny that extended into the desert beyond. His path now felt clearer, or perhaps, more convoluted. Should he remain at the oasis, basking in the comfort it offered, or venture forth into the vast unknown? He felt the pull of both options, a tug-of-war between safety and surrender. A flicking branch rustled nearby, and a small, unassuming bird took flight, soaring high into the azure sky. Its freedom ignited a flicker of yearning within him. What would true liberation from his own doubts look like? Is it possible, he pondered, that the call of the Spirit is also a call to release the fears that bind me? As this realization settled within him, Philip felt a fresh pulse of courage surging in his spirit. But another question brewed at the edges of his consciousness. What untold burdens would he confront as he took steps towards the unknown? The figures in the water had faced trials, each episode a chapter filled with suffering and redemption. Could he carry his own burdens and still become a light for others? Determined yet uncertain, he took a few steps toward the desert, the sand shifting beneath his feet. With each movement, he felt the palpable presence of the Spirit, an unseen companion urging him onward. The air around him seemed to shimmer with possibilities, and yet a weight of responsibility tugged at his heart. Was he truly ready to bear the mantle of a servant in the unfolding story of faith? With the stars beginning to blanket the sky above, Philip found himself standing at the precipice of decision. How can I remain faithful when faith calls me to surrender to the mystery? He asked aloud, his voice barely rising above the whispering wind. As the shadows of twilight enveloped the oasis, he took in a deep breath, realizing that questions alone could form the journey, as much as answers might, and so, with a heart full of wonder and trepidation, Philip prepared to step beyond the familiar embrace of the oasis, leaving behind the soothing waters that had awakened his spirit. The moon gleamed above, illuminating the sands, and in its light, he felt compelled to take the plunge into uncertainty. What awaited him in the endless stretches of the desert? What trials and revelations would shape him on this mysterious path? Would he find not only answers to his questions but also a deeper understanding of the divine purpose for his life? As he ventured forward, the desert stretched out before him, alive with secrets yet to be uncovered. As Philip ventured deeper into the vastness of the desert, the night air wrapped around him like a shroud, cool yet haunting. The sand beneath his feet, though shifting and uncertain, felt like a reminder of the journeys of those who had trodden pathways of faith before him. Each step seemed to echo the footsteps of Moses and Elijah, who had also found themselves in arid desolation, conversing with God amid the emptiness. What would become of him in such a place, he wondered. The stars overhead twinkled with an ancient wisdom, their pulsating light providing a soft illumination against the pitch-black sky. With every glance upward, Philip felt the grand tapestry of creation swirling around him like celestial whispers. Was he truly alone out there in the wilderness? The thought kindled a flutter of anxiety, yet there was peace woven into the joy of seeking something greater than himself. I may walk in solitude, he mused quietly, but I am not forsaken. As he pressed on, shadows danced at the corners of his vision, leading him further into the night. Each gust of wind brought with it a whiff of something foreign, perhaps the scent of the unseen, the call of the ethereal. Philip felt an unsettling mix of trepidation and anticipation. Would he encounter those who had been lost, those seeking redemption as he was, or would he face the depths of his own soul, confronting demons long held at bay? He recalled the woman at the well, her tale of longing and search for belonging echoing in his mind. What if, he pondered aloud, I too am called to quench a thirst not just for myself but for those yet to find their oasis? Here in the wilderness, far from the structured booths of fellowship, he could be a vessel that carried hope like water in dry lands. Yet, the weight of such a responsibility tugged at him. Would his heart be wide enough to embrace the burdens of others while he was still grappling with his own uncertainties? The terrain grew rougher, and an inexplicable darkness began to creep into the edges of his consciousness. It was as if the spirit of doubt was waiting, lurking just beyond the horizon of his resolve. Memories of his own fallibility flashed before him, moments of hesitation, of turning from the light when fear snatched the courage from his heart. How am I meant to guide others, Philip murmured, when I myself am so unsteady? The wind's mournful howl seemed to answer him, not with words but with a resonance that spoke of shared trials. The wilderness was not merely a backdrop, it was a character in the ongoing narrative of faith, filled with stories waiting to be uncovered. Could this very struggle deepen his understanding of grace and mercy, the gifts given freely, not because of his worthiness, but in spite of it? Then, a glimmer caught his eye in the distance, a faint glow flickering like a beacon of hope. Philip let his curiosity guide him, the light pulsing softly against the dark expanse. What lies beyond this dark veil? He asked himself, his heart racing. He quickened his pace, the urgency of discovery propelling him forward. Yet as he approached, a new question arose. Was this light a gift from the divine, or a temptation veering him off course? Each step drew him closer to the source, and within the fluttering glow, he felt the familiar presence of the Holy Spirit, coaxing him forward with gentle insistence. Will I find clarity or confusion? He whispered to the night, uncertainty shrouding his spirit like the desert dusk. The mesmerizing dance of light offered no answers, only a promise of encounters yet to unfold. At that moment, he realized that perhaps this journey was meant not for definitive conclusions, but for the discovery of sacred mystery, that seeking truth often meant embracing the lingering questions. How could the frailty of humanity become a conduit to understanding the infinite? In the darkness, would he uncover light, and through the chaos, discern that God's hand was still guiding him forward? As the glow shimmered before him, and the weight of expectation hung heavy in the air, Philip stood poised at yet another crossroads. Would he step into the light, allowing it to reveal the next chapter of his purpose, or would he retreat into the shadows of fear? In this moment of choosing, he felt the pulse of eternity echoing through the night, inviting him to pause, reflect, and embrace the unity of wonder and uncertainty. What truths waited for him beyond the glimmering haze, and how would they shape him in the story yet to unfold? The glow ahead flickered with a beckoning warmth, drawing Philip closer, yet the desert winds caressed his face, urging him to reflect before taking another step. The night felt heavy with the weight of expectation and possibility, whispering secrets that danced just out of reach. Before him lay not merely a source of light, but a crossroads adorned with choices veiled in divine mystery. As he stood there, his heart racing, Philip caught glimpses of thoughts swirling around him like desert dust. Each dust particle was a memoria moment spent in quiet contemplation, a prayer poured out on restless nights, a longing for understanding amidst the chaos of unanswered questions. Could it be that God was leading him through these very memories, refining his spirit like gold in the fire? Is this light meant to guide or to test me? He pondered, the weight of uncertainty pressing against his soul. He recalled the times he had been guided by signs, each one an invitation to deeper faith. Instances where hesitation had given way to trust, moments where a still, small voice whispered rather than shouted, urging him toward the unknown in quiet confidence. But what if this time the call is different, less straightforward? The wild desert questioned his resolve. As he gazed into the luminosity, he began to discern shapes swirling within the glow, figures illuminating his most hidden fears and hopes. Memories came alive, the echoes of those he had encountered thus far, the broken, the searching, the hopeful, leaped forth. Am I merely a wanderer, he thought, or a shepherd for lost souls? The figures within the light shifted, coalescing into reflections of the marginalized and forgotten, the seekers from distant lands drawn to whispers of hope. With every breath, Philip was reminded of the mission he felt stirring within, the command to share the good news, to be a bridge between despair and faith. His duty became clearer, yet questions loomed larger. How could he help others navigate their paths when the night felt so vast and intimidating to him? Suddenly, the figures around him transformed into a solitary individual, an ethereal presence. The face was both familiar and foreign, embodying the unity of those who had come before him, and those yet to arrive. You are not alone in this journey, the figure seemed to say, though their lips did not move. The essence of community surged through him like currents of living water, a rekindling of purpose that washed over despair. Douc? Each light you guide, the figure's presence conveyed, is born from the burning heart of another's journey. All are interwoven in the tapestry of divine love. The realization struck Philip as a lightning bolt. What if his journey was not only about his personal odyssey, but rather a vital thread in a grander design, a shared quest for truth and connection? Yet the figure shifted once more, the flickering edges darkened, as if in response to his growing awareness. Will you seek to illuminate these paths, even when your own light falters? It asked, a question that wrapped around Philip's spirit with heavy grace. In this poignant moment of clarity, he recognized the fragile beauty of seeking, the acknowledgement that the light he shared would indeed flicker and dim at times, the necessity of vulnerability in carrying hope. Caught in reflection, he wondered about the sacredness of the unanswered questions that paved the way for greater understanding. What if it was in the spaces between certainty and doubt that the divine revealed itself most profoundly? Could his journey through darkness be a pathway for others to re-examine their own shadows, stirring compassion in a world often hungry for light? The pulsing glow resonated again, encouraging him forward. Yet Philip hesitated, caught in the swirling thoughts that resonated in his heart. What if this light isn't for guiding me alone? What if it's a call to create connection, to gather those lost in their own deserts? The weight of his purpose felt heavier, yet he sensed the presence of something far greater than fear, love intermingled with possibility. Will I light the path for myself and others amidst the uncertainties of our souls, or will I retreat into the shadows of what is comfortable? He whispered into the expansive night. The desert wind rushed through him, harmonizing with the deep cries of his Hirtan invitation to step across the threshold of fear and into the embrace of discovery. In that moment, with questions blooming like flowers in the dry sand, he found himself at yet another intersection, a space where his spirit met the divine call to truly become the vessel of hope he'd envisioned. What revelations awaited him beyond the threshold, and would he have the courage to embrace them, instead of shying away into the familiar shadows? As the winds of the desert carried Philip's whispered questions into the night, he felt the fabric of the universe shift around him. The glow invited him not just forward, but inward, beckoning him to delve deeper into the wellspring of his own soul. In that moment, the very air shimmered with possibilities. It was as if the desert itself held its breath, waiting for his next move. Peter, James, and John had set out to share stories, spreading the narrative of transformation that their master had woven through their lives. Philip had seen the power of their words ignite flames of faith in hearts that once felt as barren as the very land around him. He yearned to be part of that fire, yet doubt lingered like a shadow just beyond the light. As he pondered his role, he recalled how often the Spirit had propelled him into unfamiliar places. Each step along the winding paths of Israel had been orchestrated by a higher intent. Why this journey now? He mused, sensing the urgency thrumming in the air like an unsung song. What greater purpose awaits me in this sacred desolation? With a determined heart, he took a step closer to the luminescence, and in that instant, the solitary figure transformed once more. Now, it appeared as a shepherd, staff in hand, the embodiment of guidance and protection. The warmth of their presence swept over Philip, igniting the flickers of courage that had begun to fade against the vastness of uncertainty. Do you see these stones beneath your feet? The shepherd's essence murmured, the sound both gentle and commanding. Philip gazed down and noticed how the stones, rough and unyielding, seemed to reflect the intricacies of life, each one telling a story of struggle, survival, and the divine hand at work. Every journey begins upon these foundations, the hard truths of existence, the shepherd continued. You have walked through many valleys, and like these stones, each moment has crafted a part of who you are. Do not turn away from the trials, embrace them as sacred lessons woven in the tapestry of your life. Your faith will shine brightest when it is tested. Philip felt the weight of those words settle into his bones. He thought of the multitude he would soon encounter, the seekers he was called to serve. Am I prepared to carry such truths in my heart? To hold tightly to them while inviting others to do the same? Questions rolled within him, like waves washing over the shore, reshaping who he was destined to become. As the figure of the shepherd began to wane, Philip's attention was drawn to the horizon where the desert met the stars. Each glimmering point of light represented a soul searching for truth, hope scattered like fireflies in the dark. But how will I be able to connect these souls, when I often feel like I am just a flickering flame? He pondered. In that heartfelt reflection, he remembered the teachings of his master, who had reminded them that even the smallest light holds the power to dispel the darkness. What if all that is required of me is to hold fast to my own flame, even when it falters? Philip asked himself, feeling the embers of hope rekindle within. Just as the figure began to dissolve into the brilliance of the night, a voice, rich and echoing, rang through the still air. Your journey is not yours alone. Each step, every stumble and ascent, is imbued with purpose. Seek the faces of those you encounter, share in their burdens and joys, and you will learn that together, the light is magnified. Those words hung in the air like fragrant incense, drawing Philip deeper into contemplation. How can I be a vessel for others, a shepherd like the figure before me? He continued to wonder, grappling with the enormity of the call he felt pressing upon him. Would he have the audacity to illuminate not just his own path, but that of others lost in shadows? And as he stood at this fresh intersection, a pivotal moment painted in his heart, he felt the rush of the Spirit gently guiding him onward. Would he empower others to find their light while embracing the lessons of their own darkness? Or would he, out of fear, allow the flicker of his faith to be extinguished amid the wind's restless dance? With the desert whispering promises of discovery and the glow still pulsing before him, Philip took a slow, deliberate breath. The journey had just begun, but the question remained, could he trust that even the moments of silence and uncertainty would lead him closer to the truth he longed to uncover? The sun crested the horizon, casting a golden hue over the undulating dunes, as Philip continued on his solitary path. Each step in the warm sand felt both invigorating and heavy with purpose. The echo of the shepherd's words guided him, yet doubt clung like morning mist. As he walked further, the desert seemed to respond to his internal struggle. The wind rose, humming softly, wrapping around him like a shroud. Philip closed his eyes, listening intently as the sound shifted to a whisper, urging him to seek stillness amidst the chaos of his thoughts. He sat upon a large stone, its edges worn smooth by time, and allowed the calm to wash over him. Is the Spirit in the winds? He pondered, feeling its cool caress. With each wavering breeze, he felt carried forth into the very essence of a divine mystery. What were these promptings within him urging him to do? He remembered the stories shared by Peter, James, and John, tales of encounters that hinted at something beyond mere human understanding, woven into the fabric of their experiences with the Messiah. He opened his eyes to behold the vastness around him. The desert, though devoid of life in some senses, held secrets ripe for the discovering. Each detailed a gleam of scattered rocks, the shifting shadows seemed more profound under the morning light. But as he looked outward, an inward question grew louder. Am I to reveal these truths, however elusive they may be? Every soul he hoped to encounter would be a living testament to the struggles woven into their beings, much like his own. Could I speak of a love that transcends reason? A faith that flourishes in barren places? But even as he contemplated this, a flicker of fear shuddered within him. What if they saw his wavering spirit? What if they sensed his uncertainty? As he heartened himself against such thoughts, a shift in the air caught his attention. The wind carried an alluring scent, different from the dry earth. He rose, following it, feeling almost magnetic pull toward a cluster of wildflowers defying the landscape's harshness. When he reached them, he knelt to touch the delicate petals, vibrant amidst the muted tones surrounding them. A lesson, he breathed, awed by their tenacity. Life thrives even where it seems impossible. In that moment, a realization washed over him. Perhaps his own faith could be like these flowers, resilient against the trials around him. But what does it mean to flourish in scarcity? He asked the blossoming life before him. What if my flame flickers, even when I strive to illuminate others' paths? Suddenly, the air shifted again, as if the desert itself sighed in response to his question. The sun climbed higher in the sky, and with it, Philip felt a surge of encouragement. A voice, soft yet pervasive, broke through the stillness. To flourish is to remain rooted in truth, even when storms shake you. It is to share your vulnerabilities as a testament of strength, that others might see not just in your light but also in your shadows. He found himself uplifted by that reminder. Life was not defined solely by triumph but could also stem from the authenticity of one's struggles. So my experiences, both joyful and sorrowful, are meant to be shared? He reflected. To connect with others on their own journeys. As he absorbed this insight, a glimpse of clarity bloomed in his spirit. Is it possible that my very uncertainty is part of this divine equation? He wondered curiously. Can I be both seeker and guide, sharing my journey while inviting others to reveal their own? With renewed understanding blossoming within him, Philip stood tall once more, the resolute essence of the desert swirling around him, revealing glimpses of the divine mystery coursing through existence. Would he dare to share in the fullness of his heart's the truth that embraced both light and shadow? Or would he remain confined within the borders of his fears? When he longed to be a bridge to hope, as the sun blazed, the wildflowers stood resolute, whispering to him, "Look for those who feel broken, like the earth beneath you. They, too, seek to rise." And standing there, amidst the desert blooms and the vast unknown, Philip asked himself, could my very journey of faith become a path for others to find theirs, as fragile as it may be? As Philip continued his journey through the ever-shifting sands, a sense of urgency stirred within him, as if the desert itself called him deeper into its embrace. Each step felt charged with newfound purpose, a quiet conviction urging him forward. The landscape, once desolate and imposing, now revealed patterns, traces of life hidden beneath the sand. He sensed that there was more for him to uncover, an intertwining of his spirit with something far grander than his understanding. As the sun reached its zenith, casting sharp shadows and illuminating the flora around him, Philip found himself at a crossroads, both physical and spiritual. The path ahead bifurcated, one direction led towards a rocky rise that caught the light, while the other sloped away into a vale shrouded in shadows. An inner pull seemed to beckon him towards the light, yet a flicker of curiosity urged him to venture into the darker passage. Was it out of fear or faith that he hesitated? What wisdom awaited in the hidden corners of this wilderness? With a deep breath, he closed his eyes once more, seeking clarity. In stillness, he recalled the moments spent in quiet communion with the Master. Those times were filled with revelatory silence that often spoke louder than words. "Guide me," he whispered, entrusting his fate to the Spirit's prompting. The breeze picked up softly, brushing against him as if in response to his plea. With renewed resolve, he turned toward the shadowy vale. He treaded carefully, each step a conscious choice, the uncertainty of the unseen ahead weighing on him as much as it excited him. As he descended, the air shifted, cooler than above, alive with the sounds of a hidden oasis. The rustle of leaves and soft trickle of water could be heard, every note a testament to life thriving in what seemed inhospitable. Curiosity bloomed within him, and as he reached the bottom, he emerged into a vibrant clearing, lush and bountiful, filled with trees bearing fruit and clear pools reflecting the sky. In striking contrast to the harshness of the desert, this haven seemed a divine invitation. Yet, Philip recalled the wildflower's lesson. Even within the beauty, struggle remains. What do these fruits signify? He wondered. Before he could ponder further, movement caught his eye. A group of weary travelers stood near the water's edge, faces etched with fatigue, their eyes searching, longing for solace. Philip's heart quickened.
These souls were akin to the flowers he had seen earlier, resilient yet seemingly starved for hope.
What do they seek? He mused, sensing in them his own uncertainties. Could this be a moment where I may share not only faith but vulnerability, becoming a vessel for connection? Stepping closer, he greeted them with warmth, his voice steady yet filled with an undercurrent of his own trepidation.
"What brings you to this hidden place?"
he asked, curiosity guiding his tone. One traveler, a woman with a weathered face yet bright eyes, stepped forward.
"We have journeyed far, seeking rest but finding only strife.
The world seems heavy, and our burdens weigh us down." Her honesty was a balm, echoing Philip's own internal struggles, affiliations they shared despite their different paths. He felt the pull to reveal his own burdens, to show them that even a seeker could be lost at times. "I too wander through turmoil, questioning my path.
Yet, I have found in the deserts of doubt, glimpses of hope."
The words flowed more freely than he anticipated, as he offered a space for authenticity amidst the weight of fear. As the conversation unfolded, the travelers shared their stories, each revealing a thread of struggle that intertwined with his tapestry alive with vulnerability and resilience. Philip listened, laughed, and empathized, feeling each heartstring connect. It became clear that this was not merely an encounter, but a shared journey of faith in the midst of hardship.
Yet, as their dialogue flowed, a question emerged in Philip's heart, shadowed by the light of their bonding. Is sharing vulnerability enough?
Will our stories truly heal us, or
are we forever gripped by our fears?
Suddenly, a nearby tree rustled as if beckoning him closer. Philip turned instinctively, drawn to its silky fruits hanging just beyond reach.
Were they a metaphor, ripe with promise, yet untouched and distant?
His eyes caught a shimmer, reflection of the sun upon the water, reminding him that sometimes, the most beautiful emanations are frangible and fleeting. Could it be that the healing they sought lay not solely in shared stories but in the courage to embrace one's struggles openly? Philip pondered, reflecting on the uncharted waters of honesty and connection.
As he stood there surrounded by kindred souls, he found himself asking again, how deep is the mystery of connection, and can our honesty bring forth not just healing, but also the dawning of faith?
The air around the clearing seemed to shift, growing denser with unspoken thoughts as Philip faced his new companions. The tree's enticing fruits hung heavy with the weight of unanswered questions, and an urgency grasped Philip's heart, an echoing pulse within the shared stories of struggle unfolding around him. This hidden sanctuary, a testament to resilience, whispered secrets that danced just outside his understanding. As conversations deepened, the weary travelers shared tales not just of exhaustion, but of hope and fragmented desires, each story a vital fragment of a collective human experience entwined with divine purpose. The woman with bright eyes recounted her pursuit of solitude in nature, a retreat that ultimately revealed deeper layers of grief. Another man spoke of his failed ventures, each revealing less about his lack of fortitude and more about the courage it took to begin again. A chorus of shared testimony swelled, each voice rising as if to paint a mural of their intertwined fates. Yet as camaraderie spiraled into an intricate web of kinship, a shadow loomed, a silent dread of the unknown lingered, whispering its way into Philip's thoughts.
We speak of burdens and faith, but can mere words shift the mountains of doubt within us? He wondered silently. What if this moment of connection served merely as a fleeting salve rather than a transformative healing? A deep sense of worry crept into his mind, countering the warmth woven by their gathering. They were united in sorrow, but were they truly united in healing? Just then, from the shadows of the trees, an elderly figure emerged. The sun caught upon wise creases of a welcoming smile. His presence stirred something ancient within Philip, a sense that this encounter was destined to cultivate deeper truths. Young travelers, the elder spoke, his voice a blend of gravel and honey. What brings you to this splendor in the midst of struggle? Philip turned, leaning forward, his curiosity piqued. We share stories of our burdens, seeking to find light amidst our darkness. But do stories alone impart the strength we need to carry on? The elder's eyes twinkled with depth as he considered. Stories nourish the soul as trees nurture their roots, but they also reveal the thorns that cling to our hearts. He gestured to the rich foliage around them. Look around, every fruit born of this land is a testament to trials faced, yet it does not grow without the struggle of nature. Are you willing to embrace the weight of thorns for the nourishment of what lies just beyond? Philip pondered the elder's words, sensing the layers beneath their surface. This spoke to the very essence of his journey, comfort in the acknowledgement that while they shared burdens, the growth would demand an openness to the rawness of their truths. Should we not shield ourselves from suffering? Might hiding our wounds be a safer path?
He asked, both for himself and for the group. The elder replied with deep compassion, the risk is indeed daunting. Yet, how can we heal that which we refuse to acknowledge? Healing is born not of avoidance, but of the courage to confront darkness with light. Only then can you find deep nourishment for your soul. As the elder spoke, a gentle breeze stirred the air, and the foliage responded as if to confirm his wisdom. Philip sensed a deeper meaning in the rustling leaves, a calling to expose himself, its concurrent fear tinged with the possibility of liberation. With newfound urgency, Philip turned to the others.
Can we dare to share that which we often hide, the stories of our darkest moments?
By revealing our thorns, might we uncover strength we never knew resided within? They all exchanged glances filled with uncertainty yet flickering embers of resolve. As the sun began to descend, casting golden hues over the clearing, Philip felt a stirring of hope among them.
Could it be that the true mystery of their gathering lay in this inevitable vulnerability?
In sharing their raw selves, could they not only see the beauty beneath their burdens but also ignite faith in those shadows that still
concealed themselves?
As twilight approached, and the world around them darkened, Philip could not shake the sense that this was just the beginning of their intertwined journey. He turned back to the elder, the flickering shadows of dusk mingling with the last rays of sunlight, asking, what if faith is born in our shared struggles, yet we remain forever searching for the light that can truly guide us from our darkness? As the twilight deepened around them, the elder's wise gaze fell upon Philip, and the air filled with a palpable sense of expectation.
Ah, young seeker, you speak of faith, he began, the warmth of his voice wrapping around them like a comforting blanket.
Faith is born not from the absence of doubt, but from the courage to traverse through it, hand in hand with those who walk the same path. In the sharing of those intimate places, you not only unlock healing for yourselves, but you become beacons of hope for others. The travelers leaned in closer, the spark of curiosity igniting a flame of resolve within their hearts. A young man, weary from his long journey, stepped forward hesitantly, his voice barely above a whisper.
But how do we confront our shadows? What if our honesty only reveals our despair?
Philip moved closer to him, feeling the weight of compassion swell within. Perhaps, he said gently, what we hide in darkness can be transformed by the light of each other's understanding. There is strength in vulnerability, it is an acknowledgement that none of us walk alone. He gestured toward the elder, who stood strong and steadfast. This wise soul illuminates our path, reminding us that healing often requires a surrender to the very things we fear to show. As the sun dipped lower on the horizon, casting an orange glow over the lush oasis, the group grew silent. Each member pondered the possibilities of a shared journey rooted in honesty. Let us speak then, the woman with bright eyes said, her voice growing clearer. Let us explore the burdens that weigh us down, and through our shared struggle, kindle the flames of hope. One by one, the travelers stepped forward, revealing stories drenched in their own complexities with renewed vigor. Philip guided them, nurturing the process. I, too, have faced the shadows of disbelief, he confessed, times when the path felt too daunting, when I questioned whether my faith could bear the weight of uncertainty. As the confession escaped his lips, there was an undeniable shift in the air. Augustine spoke of his lingering regrets and the heavy burden of choices that haunted him. The others shared tales of grief, doubt, failures, and longings, each vulnerability mirrored among the faces encircling them, each story a point of connection, a thread weaving a tapestry of shared humanity. Together, they grappled with their inner demons, navigating the depths of despair and the yearning for hope. They were no longer just weary travelers, they had become a community forged in the fire of exposure and courage, illuminating the shadows that had once felt insurmountable. Hours slipped by as the stars began to litter the heavens, and in this sacred space, something remarkable transpired. Philip felt an overwhelming rush of the spirit, an assurance that washed over him and the gathering like a tide receding, leaving behind pearls of wisdom and connection. Each story shared, he declared, is not merely a tale of defeat but a testament to resiliency, a light shining through the cracks of our wrapped hearts. A vibration surged within them, a reminder of the divine presence that had walked with him in the desert. He sensed it pulsing in harmony with each soul gathered. The intertwining of their lives had become like roots merging beneath the surface of the earth, a collective yearning for transformation. A stillness enveloped the clearing, punctuated only by the soft rustle of leaves. A powerful revelation echoed through their hearts, and in that sacred silence, they heard it, the whispers of destiny urging them to act. What now? A voice emerged from the group. How do we move forward from these confessions? Philip turned to the elder, who seemed to beam with light in the glow of the stars. You emerge not merely as individuals but as a collective seed, destined to spread hope in parched lands, the elder said. Let your stories flow beyond this oasis, let them become rivers that quench the thirst of many souls in desolation. Stepping into a new resolve, Philip felt clarity wash over him and echoed it within the hearts surrounding him. Let our shared vulnerabilities become the bridge that leads to transformations. Let us harness the courage to lead others toward the rippling water together. We shall disrupt the cycles of despair. As the sounds of the oasis melded with the deep and starry night, a collective energy rippled through them, threading each heart with newfound purpose. The promise of connection pulsating like the stars overhead, promising guidance through potentially treacherous landscapes. In unison, together, Philip declared, his voice resonating with divine conviction, we will illuminate paths that others may walk in their searching. Starting from this moment onward, we carry not just our burdens, but the embers of each other's hopes, illuminating the way into an unknown future. As dawn broke over the horizon, blanketing the earth in luminous gold, Philip felt a profound transformation within. He had found not just the essence of faith, but a tapestry woven in unity, each thread a potent reminder of the profound strength found in vulnerability and the strength of shared purpose. And with every shared step forward, the culmination of this journey transformed not just their lives, but reverberated through the very fabric of existence, leaving in its wake a legacy of love and light, proclaiming to the world that hope, indeed, flourishes not in isolation, but in the sacred dance of relationship, where every heart, once burdened, found freedom through communion. Thus, in that moment of breathtaking revelation, they understood, they were not merely walking through the desert, they were carrying the very promise of rebirth and renewal flowing from the shared waters of hope that would forever ripple across the expanse of time, uniting kindred spirits like stars brought to life in the night sky.